Hi everyone and welcome back to Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks, and this is our Jumpstart series helping new players get going on Disc Golf Valley. And it's kind of exciting today because we are on our last course in this Jumpstart series. Now I say that right now there's rumors that any day now they're going to release a new version of Disc Golf Valley that will include a brand new course. So we might have another one coming any day now. But for today, let's take a look at Ikigai Enso. And if you've started playing with this, if you've started to try and get your 3 stars on this already, you will know it's a little bit different than any other course so far. And what I mean by that is you need to get a better score than what we have been getting up until now. Up until now, most of the courses require a -9. Kagaya Enso requires a -14. And what that means is you have to get a lot of eagles in order to get the 3 stars. You can probably tell by the screen I've been trying, and I still have not managed to get that elusive 3rd star. I've come close. I've gotten eagles on 5 or 6, and then really messed up on the remaining holes. And so I'm at 23. I need to get one more in order to get the 3rd star there. So I'm still working on it, but for today what we're going to show you in this video is how to get those eagles on every hole. And I'll show you what I do with the discs that I have in my bag. You might have to make a few adjustments depending on the distance drivers that you have in your bag to make it work for you in any given wind condition, but we'll show you the basics here. So with that being said, let's go over to our practice mode. You're going to need some distance drivers. Maybe we should take a look at our bag. If you're just kind of popping into our Jumpstart series here for this video, what we've done is we've created a series of getting 3 stars on all of the courses with a combination of purchased discs and the discs that you naturally acquire. So you'll see some discs here have been purchased, the Destiny, the Zeus, the PD I think was purchased, the Explorer was purchased, and the rest are discs that we've accumulated along the way by different means that are readily available. Now don't worry if you don't have the exact same putters as I have. In fact, I don't think we'll use these putters as we 3-star this course. We'll just use our fuse, I think, unless we're behind a tree and have to curve around a tree. The fuse is going to be our disc of choice to throw in. You should have a lot of these discs. You might not have the same distance drivers that I do, but you probably have some distance driver, maybe the Ballista Pro Extra Glide Big Skip, or the Rive Extra Glide Big Skip, or some other big skip discs that you may have purchased. They'll all kind of work the same. You'll just have to make a few minor adjustments. And to start out, we'll choose our Zeus. It will be the disc of choice for most of our drives on this course. We might, in some cases, depending on the wind condition, might choose a different distance driver, the Extra Glide Light there. But for the most part, the Zeus is going to be our disc to use for our drives. And for this first hole, I usually line it up right at the base of this tree. You don't want to be up here where it starts you out at, because you're just going to run into some branches and end up in the little creek there. So bring it down so that your disc will go under those branches. And there's 2 approaches to this. We'll show you both ways. Usually we want to put an anhyzer of about this strength. Now depending on the wind, you're going to make some adjustments here. And when you let go, it's good to keep in mind how you let go and be consistent in that. The best way is just to release it. Sometimes people will give it a little flick, and that can really cause quite a difference in the way that disc is going to fly. And you're going to do that flick a little bit different every time, and so you're not going to get any type of consistency. So the best way is just to let your finger up off your device and let that thing slide. Now you see this one's going way off. That is not what we want. So let's try this again. Now a good way to learn how much anhyzer you should put on your distance driver in any given wind condition is use this rethrow tool. hit rethrow, and then choose your disc of choice again. Your pointer is going to be in the very exact same position. Sometimes it moves slightly, so you have to kind of watch that. But now, with your pointer in the exact same position as last time, you can adjust how much anhyzer you put on. So we're going to pull it back just a little bit, and in this wind condition, see how that flies. And that's a little bit more what we're looking for. That Zeus goes right down close to the basket for an easy toss in to get our eagle. Now it doesn't show as an eagle because we didn't reset. Remember, we used the retry button, but that was 2 strokes, and so that would have been an eagle. Let's replay the hole. Now that was one way of getting the eagle on this, going around to the left of that birch tree. The other way is to go to the right side of that birch tree. Let's see if we can pull that off. That's not going to be enough. That's going to hit our stone wall or bounce over it. Oh, look at that. Sometimes you luck out. And it bounces around until you can get it in the basket. Now, one good tip I can give you is that when you are going for your 3 stars, you want to replay this first hole over and over again until you do get that eagle before you move on to give you a good start. Remember, you need at least 5 in order to get your 3 stars. You need 5 eagles. And so you might as well start out with 1 because it's easy to reset when you're only at hole 1. I think some would say that if you are actually serious about getting your 3 stars, you should probably reset until you have the first 3 holes. And because you're still only at the beginning of the course, it's quite easy to reset and start over again until you get those 3 stars. And that gives you a good start towards the 5 that you need for your 3 stars. And by the way, when you're on the first hole and you're going for your 3 stars, you don't have to accept a bad wind condition. Just reset or restart until you get a better wind condition. I don't really like this wind condition either, so I'm going to reset again or restart. That one's not bad. You can work with that, but since you have the option, might as well restart until you get a more favorable wind condition. This one's not bad, and so let's give it a go. Pull out our distance driver here and release. And will it make it around those? Yeah. But we can probably still get it from here. I like this wind condition. In this wind, it usually comes right down to the basket. And let's see if we can do that. Yeah, that's kind of like what you want. That's what we're looking for. And, oh, almost dazed it. That is a nice, sweet way to start a 3-star run. So your goal is, with your distance driver, put it somewhere in this area. It might, with your distance driver, you might need to make some adjustment there. I find with the Zeus, that right at the base of that tree is good. And then your goal is to have your disc in any given wind condition go either to just the right or just the left of that birch tree that's standing down there. And so in this wind condition, I'll probably bring it down to about here. And yes, right. Oh, it's going to hit it. Do you see all of those marks on that birch tree? I think that's mostly from me hitting that birch tree. So let's give it another go. What you're trying to do here is get slightly to the left or right of that birch tree. Something like that for the left. And something like that when you're going just to the right of it. And that usually brings you right down to the basket. So when you're in the practice mode, and this I recommend for any course you're trying to learn, is to retire out and go to the practice round, find the course again, and change the hole that you're learning. And doing it this way, you can reset at any time. If you see your disc is going off into the ocean, you can just hit the reset button and try again. And each time you reset, it's going to be in a different wind condition. So it gives you the opportunity of trying your distance driver in a variety of different winds so that you can learn what you need to do. All right, so let's head on to hole number 2. Now this is a kind of difficult hole to get your eagle on because it's a very narrow pathway that you have to have your disc fly over that fence. Otherwise, it's going to go off into the ocean on either the left or the right side. But with a little bit of practice, you can start getting an eagle on this fairly consistently. We'll use our Zeus again, and for the Zeus, and this will probably be different depending on your distance driver. For the Zeus, I usually put it right about here, and then depending on the wind, I will put more or less of an anhyzer on this. And let's see how this goes. This is kind of where you want to go over that fence. And it skips up the hill. And we're behind some bamboo here, and this is going to be kind of difficult to actually get it. Here's where you want to put the pure into play here, and because the pure can do a nice curve. And let's see if we can do it. Nope. In a situation like this, it's a good opportunity to just stop a moment and practice something like that. And taking that opportunity helps you build your skill of how to get around obstacles. All right, but let's get back to our hole. This is a pretty good wind condition. It gives you a little bit more momentum towards the basket, but you do have to remember to compensate a little bit on your pullback and give it a little bit more anhyzer to compensate for that direction, and see if you can't get over that sweet spot on the fence to be able to stay on course and up the fairway. All right, that puts us in a little better position. I'm gonna maybe usually like to use the fuse. I'm just used to it and the heaviness of it. All right, maybe play it one more time. We'll see the wind is in quite a bit different direction this time. So as we pull back, we're not going to do what we did last time. We're going to compensate by pulling it this way a little bit. Yeah, now that's just a little bit too much to the left there. I think we'll still be okay. Yeah. Now a little further back this time, and it would be good for you to practice this distance. It's a little bit uphill, but not much, so you don't compensate too much for that. But it is 34 meters, so you want to pull back just a bit more. Watch the drunken cameraman behind you, and in it goes. All right, hole number 3. This is another interesting hole. When you first start playing it, you probably get some bogeys, but it is possible to get an eagle on this, and so let's see what we can do to show you that. Now this particular wind condition, a little bit more difficult. I think in this wind condition I've found it best to use your extra glide light disc distance driver if you have one. Now this particular west side has a tendency to go way off, so I just usually pull it straight back and let it go gliding off to the left. I'm not sure what it's doing or where it's going, but then it comes back and brings you down. And so the trick here is to learn how to get this in from here for the eagle. And it is quite a difference in elevation, so you compensate for that. But we're shooting against a strong wind too, so it's going to be a little difficult to pull this off. And so in this case, you end up with a birdie. All right, this time let's take our Zeus, but go with a backhand, put our pointer right about there, put our Anheuser somewhere about here, and just let that disc come down, bounce off the, oh, it's not going to do it. Oh, it did, okay. It's a close call there, whether or not that's going to bounce off or not, but when it does, then you've got a fairly easy eagle. 12 meters, I think we'll throw it in for the eagle. Let's play it a couple more times. Now, in this wind condition, it's possible to even get an ace. But more likely than not, you are going to end up in the ocean. But it's fun to try for that ace. Yeah, well, it doesn't give us our ace, but we are going to be able to get our eagle. And that's what you want. Let's do it one more time. We'll take out our Zeus again. And if you don't get this just right, you end up hitting that stand of bamboo. But if you get it right, you get a nice bounce over to the... Whoop. Yeah, well, fortunately we stayed up top. Sometimes when it bounces up there, it goes over and you're in trouble. But today we can come back for a nice eagle. One more time. Oh, this doesn't look good. It didn't get over far enough. I think it's going to go into the ocean. Yeah. Well, one thing you should know is if this happens, don't just reset. You have still a chance to get a birdie here. With the drop zone, you can often come back and, yeah, put it in for a birdie. And, you know, 2 eagles and 1 birdie, you can keep going. Just as a little bonus, I thought I'd throw in this ace from my archives. All right, hole number 4. And here, I like the Zeus on a forehand. The problem is it usually bounces in and hits that rock and leaves you quite a ways behind the basket, making it pretty difficult to get your eagle. Now, if you're happy with a birdie, then that's probably a safe route to go using the forehand on your drive. You can usually get a birdie pretty easily on this hole. But if you are at the point where you need another eagle, let's try a different route. But something you should know is these arcs are not mandos. You can go around them. And so you might want to experiment with a backhand. Doesn't always work out the best, but it's an option that you can keep in mind, depending on certain wind conditions. We're in a pretty good state here. Should be able to get this in. Oh, a little bit low. Okay. So another birdie. But this is a hole that can be eagled. So let's see what we can do here. Another backhand through the arc this time. And oftentimes, depending on the wind conditions, this is a good approach because it can come swinging back with a good distance to the basket. You have to be careful in some wind conditions it can just go right off the cliff. So if you've got a strong wind to the left, I would probably not use this approach. But here, let's see what we can do. Yeah, that's what you want to see. That's what you want when you're going for your 3-star runs. It's a nice eagle on this hole. That really helps you down the road. Try it again. We're right behind a pole here. Let's slide over. 36 meters to the basket in a nasty wind. What will we be able to do here? Okay, good. Another eagle for our attempts. Hole number 5. This kind of a mixed bag, depending on the wind conditions. It can either set you up nicely for an eagle, or it can the disc can go shooting off into the woods and make it difficult to come back to the basket. But this one worked out good. Should be able to get this. It's kind of difficult in a strong wind going downhill just to know what to do here. But in we go. So you might want to practice that. Let's do it again. I'll kind of switch between using the light disc and the actual skip disc on this, but the approach is about the same. You head over to the left first, and this far back you might want to think twice about running the basket, because if you miss it and go into the water, it can cost you. So sometimes, depending on where you're at with your eagles, your 5 eagles, you might just want to lay up for this one, depending how far you're back. Let's try it again with a light disc. Yeah, this is looking good. I like this. Yeah, that's a nice position that you'd like to be. I can barely see the basket through these stalks of bamboo, but I can see it just enough to be able to pop it in. One more time. Now, your distance driver might not have such a turn on it, so you might not want to follow the exact aim that I have. You'll figure it out once you try it a few times, what your light disc will do. I'm looking forward to finishing up this Jumpstart series so I can pop some other optional discs in my bag. All right, hole number 6. And I kind of switch between the Grace and the Sapphire on this, depending on the wind conditions. And in this particular wind, the Grace is going to work the best for us, bring us down close enough to the basket for an easy eagle. It's probably one of the easier holes to get an eagle. But you don't want to miss the basket, because that can cost you. So we'll do that again. You have to aim low, otherwise you hit some branches there. But this comes in nicely. Like the Grace on this hole. Here we go. Alright, but if you get a strong wind condition like this, I'll pull the Sapphire. It doesn't go quite as far. The Grace here in this wind condition will probably just go just a little, it's just a little too strong. It just goes off into the ocean. And even the Sapphire, you have to be careful on it too. It, on a 3 wind condition, can bring you into the ocean as well. Well, luckily we made that. One more time. Okay, well, another strong wind, but opposite direction, so we'll go for the Grace again on this. And remember to bring it down low, and let that disc swing around. Ooh, this doesn't look... Oh, saved by the stones. That can bounce and go into the ocean, and when that happens, it gives you a really awful drop zone, and you end up missing the basket again if you go for it, and you can end up with a quadruple bogey on this one if you're not careful. All right, hole number 7. In my humble estimation, there are just far too many trees on this hole. Someone ought to go in with a chainsaw, I'm thinking. Although the people of Japan probably would not like that. But if you find your way through the trees, you can get a pretty good shot at the basket here, but it's uphill and you've got wind usually. This is a hole where I usually just be happy to get my birdie and move on. It's just... But that being said, you can get eagles on this. So with your distance driver, you need to find a way through these trees because every distance driver is going to be a little bit different. But spend some time on this hole. Look for that channel through the trees that works with your disc. And get yourself down to about here. And then spend some time practicing from this position. Because the distance or the change in elevation can really be difficult here. But that's the basic approach you want. Now sometimes you end up down here, but don't despair. You can still sometimes see the basket. And but the change in elevation again is difficult. You're worried about hitting that rock. Let's see what we can do here. Too much. Well, here again is a good to hit the reset button or try button and try this a couple times until you know what you need to do for this elevation change here. Yeah. All right, hole number 8. This can be a challenging hole to get your eagle on as well. Again, there's too many trees. But let's try backhand here and sneak through that tree, and I'd like to get on the other side of that cherry tree. But we can still run it from here. Now at this angle there isn't much of a backstop, so you want to err on the side of being short here rather than long, because there's not much to stop you from this angle. Get a tap in for a birdie. All right, and so let's take a look at that again. Let's try to get on the other side of that cherry tree this time. Yeah, it's more what we're looking for. Of course, this stone is just in the wrong place. Sometimes you can hit the top of it and get a little bit of energy, but in this case we're behind a hill. But there's a better backstop from this angle, so don't worry about running it. Yeah, that's what you want for your eagle. There's also a way of going forehand here, and the trouble with this distance driver, the Zeus, is it tends to end up on this side of the hill, making it more difficult to come back for your eagle. Other distance drivers handle this a little better, but since the Zeus is what we have in our bag, it's a little bit limiting for this hole on this course. So I stick with the backhand here, and depending on the driver that you have, you might want to practice what approach works the best for you. See if we can get the top of this. Yeah. You get a little energy, a little boost coming up off the top of that rock, and that helps you. We're only 26 meters away. We should be able to get this. All right. All right, hole number 9, our last hole. Watch out for that Mando there. You have to get around that. I switch between the big skip and the extra glide light on this hole to get you down around close enough to the basket here. If you miss this basket, it's kind of disastrous. You usually go out of bounds, and that can be a problem. But when you get it in, it's nice because you get that eagle. Whew, in this wind condition, I'm going to go for the Destiny. And that's the extra glide light, whatever disc you might have in your bag that's close. In a 3-wind, the big skip is just going to go too far and usually put you in the creek. Let's see if we can get this. Yeah. This is a fairly easy hole to get your eagle on, but it can be disastrous if you don't get it in. So you want to spend some time working on this one as well. Another 3-wind. Let's grab our Destiny and try this again. Brings us down nicely. 30 meters. Watch the change in elevation. You've got a nasty wind here, so be sure to compensate for all that. And in we go. One more time, and this time we'll use our big skip. Ooh, this is getting close, but we survived, and a nice easy distance for another eagle. All right, well that probably does it for this video. Hope you've been able to pick up a few tips. As I record this, I'm about to get on a plane from Hong Kong to Toronto, 15-hour flight, so I'll spend a little time on working on my 3-star run to hopefully get that last point that I need to get my 3rd star, and we'll record those so that be able to release that hopefully tomorrow sometime. And so be sure and check back to see how I manage my 3-star run, and I wish you the best as you try for your 3-star run on Ikigai Enso. See you next time here at Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks. So long for now.